This story is entitled Skinwalker. When I was a toddler on my grandmother's property, I would have horrible nightmares of my toys killing me. They repeated again and again. It would only happen on her property. The first time I encountered one was in Pass Creek by Castlegar, British Columbia, after I moved into my grandmother's from foster care. She was very cruel to me, so I stormed out of her trailer at the age of 6 and headed down the road to cool off. It was a bright summer day, about 2 blocks away in a thick forested community. I felt uneasy, but saw nothing. Back then the trees were cleared nicely, and I could see for a ways into the forest in the direction I felt watched from. I continued walking, and I heard a branch snap. I turned quickly and saw a blur of a coyote. It leapt clear across the road and made no noise in the thicker bush that it was heading into, and disappeared. I was immediately paralyzed in fear. I felt that I couldn't go back or forward, or I would be dead, so I stood paralyzed, hoping that someone would drive by. Sure enough, a man drove by, and I begged him to drop me off back at home. No one believed me. I believe the second encounter may have happened the same year. My neighbor and I were playing beside my trailer in the forest, which was 20 feet from the trailer. Her mum called her to go home for dinner, so I continued to play in the tree line. From behind me, I was facing the trailer, I heard my neighbor's voice say my name. But it was way up, so high. She was shorter than me, and this was halfway up a tree high. I was shocked, looked behind me, and no one was there. Once again, I was trapped, paralyzed in fear. It took me everything to break free of the paralysis and run. I called her as soon as I got inside to be sure it wasn't some prank, and she answered, irritated that she would talk to me later, and hung up. I told no one, not until I was an adult in my mid-20s. My sleep paralysis started when I was 10 on that property. It would be a shadow darker than the dark room around us. I'd be paralyzed, but I'd somehow instinctively close my eyes and calm myself, which would release me and it would disappear. When I was a teen, I skipped school a handful of times to get assessed by mental health. I was concerned I had a condition that made me see and hear things, especially because I almost always felt watched. They assessed that I had no condition of the sort. Now move forward to my 20s. Forward. I'm now disabled from loose joints and in a dark place because I had to return to my grandmother's property. I decided to move into her shed. It was barren. My mother was now living there too, and she had put me through disgusting things my whole life. And because I was trapped in my bed, she became even more heartless. At this point I had learned that to take my sleep paralysis, I had to have music on when I slept. I would often wake up and it had been turned off. One night I woke up in a daze. I heard my grandmother saying my name again and again. At first she sounded urgent, but then it twisted into a snarled voice. It was inhuman, and it was standing outside above the shed between her trailer and mine. My cat was freaked out. I calmed my nerves and went back to sleep. I was spooked too, but what could I do? Eventually I told my mother about my experiences, and she was shocked. She believed me, but hadn't experienced anything like that. I figured we all had to have, but never said anything. Not long after, during night time, I heard something with strong claws, 2 hands claw all the way up my shed on the side of the forest, from the bottom to the top. It would take 4 of me to reach the tip, standing on each other's shoulders. I'm 5'7". My cat heard it too and was freaked. Something ate her soon after that. I heard it happen. Then the breaking point. My mother pushed too far for too long, and I broke. At this point I started speaking to myself, and it eventually felt like something was listening to me. It gave me comfort to feel that I wasn't alone anymore, having been in excruciating pain for a year at that point, and very lonely. Then I asked it to punish her for all she had done to me. Within a week I saw a cop car pull up to the property. I didn't want to come out and bother with it. I waited until they left and went into the trailer. My mother was freaked out. She is an ignorant, man-hating alpha type. She doesn't show fear ever, so she can keep her mask of strength on. She said this large elk creature that reeked of putrid flesh came to her and told her it would kill her by tearing her limbs from her body slowly. My mother was never the same ever since. She went insane. It took me a long time to put it together, because once she went insane, it all got very busy until we had to push her from the home. Services here could do nothing because she would act sane when police showed up. It was bad. About half a year after that, I went from the trailer to the shed after dark against my better judgment, and I saw a powerful white light coming from behind the shed. I could tell it was high up based on where the shadows were, and I could tell there were many lights due to how many perfectly still shadows behind each tree there were. Of course, I wanted to go see, but I ran inside instead and was so scared it was going to come through the window. No vehicles could make it back there. Thick forest. There was a steep bank between the property and the forest, no other paths to get there. Now my partner has got a new job on native land. He's been seeing this fox. The first time we were talking on the phone on night shift, and I started feeling really out of it. My body felt like it was detached. My mind was growing dizzy by the second. I told him, but soon after he saw a fox and was addicted to it. I tried not to be rude because it was a cute encounter, but my situation was worsening. I was getting really faint and dizzy, nauseous. I had to get off the phone. It didn't take us long to realize what it was. It had hollowed out dark eyes and looked sickly. It would run from one end of camp like 50 miles in short periods. He'd see it again and again all night. I couldn't be on the phone with him when he saw it. He would try to drive far away from it if he was going to make a call and eat up our calling times. I started having blackouts and caused myself a significant amount of harm. It knows he knows. We all know. As long as he is at work, things happen here and there for him. His stuff being thrown off counters. One time he fell asleep and didn't remember doing it during his shift. It was in the same place he saw the fox for the first time. My partner thinks it's after me because I'm clairvoyant. I have to sage every day, and sometimes that doesn't feel like it's enough. I want to keep my partner safe. How do I keep him safe? What is it going to do if it doesn't get what it wants?